By 2019, the legal cannabis market is booming globally. But for the average retail investor, getting a piece of those profits is nearly impossible. The industry is heavily regulated and dominated by massive, publicly traded monopolies. Then, a Berlin-based startup called Juicy Fields pitches a workaround: crowd growing. You sign up, click on a virtual plant for €50, and the company cultivates it for you in a real greenhouse. When they sell the harvest, you get a 66% return. Over 2 years, the numbers are massive. 500,000 people across Europe invest. The company claims to have harvested a staggering 72 tons of cannabis, consistently paying out high yields to its users. On July 13, 2022, investors are suddenly locked out of their accounts. The company's social media profiles vanish. €400 million in user funds disappear overnight. Every plant, harvest, and profit margin on the platform was digital fiction. Juicy Fields never cultivated or sold a single gram of cannabis. The operation was a carefully engineered financial illusion. To manufacture trust, the operation relied on aggressive marketing. They rented Lamborghinis for promotional videos, paid YouTubers to push affiliate links, and provided investors with live webcam feeds of cannabis crops that belonged to entirely different producers. The company's CEO, Alan Glantz, presented himself as a visionary with an Ivy League degree. In reality, his name was Anatoly. He was a taxi operator from St. Petersburg, given designer suits and a Rolex to play a character on camera. If there were no actual sales, we have to look at the math behind those massive payouts given to early adopters for 2 solid years. This chart shows how a classic Ponzi scheme operates. The €50 a new user spent on a virtual plant never went toward agriculture. It funneled directly to earlier investors to simulate legitimate profits. The engine only runs as long as new users keep signing up. Legally, the Berlin Register listed Juicy Fields as a gardening supply business, meaning they had zero authority to sell cannabis products. The flashy parties and influencer campaigns were strictly functional. They generated the continuous hype required to keep new cash flowing into the Ponzi engine. The operation hits a wall in June 2022, when Germany's Financial Regulatory Authority officially bans Juicy Fields from selling plants. Almost immediately, the company implodes in public. Factions within the organization leak altered Russian passports. They accuse a group of fake German aristocrats of stealing the money, and hold a supposed crisis committee meeting where people wearing V for Vendetta masks fail to smoke joints through the plastic slits. The performative internal war and the flurry of leaked documents served as a smokescreen. While investigators untangled the identities of fake noblemen, the actual architects had a head start to move the funds and vanish. Swindling retail investors was highly profitable, but the scale of the infrastructure points to a much larger primary objective: cleaning dirty money. The financial core of Juicy Fields was tied to a bank account in Cyprus, a jurisdiction known for its relaxed financial oversight. That single account processed over €500 million. This diagram shows why a Ponzi scheme's high transaction volume is so useful. A criminal network mixes illicit cash, like funds from a Colombian drug cartel, with incoming retail investments. On the other end, it all comes out looking like legitimate corporate revenue. The fake aristocrats and rented Lamborghinis provided the necessary cover for a highly efficient international money laundromat. The individual coordinating this operation was a Russian IT expert and darknet enthusiast named Sergey Ban. He built the tech infrastructure and even wrote the rap lyrics for their promotional videos. Ban was backed by a tight inner circle operating out of St. Petersburg. German prosecutors linked the Juicy Fields network directly to organized crime syndicates based in the city. The scope of the operation suggests influence beyond simple street-level crime. Viktor Bittner, the German frontman, is suspected of having ties to the FSB, while Sergey Ban is the son of a nuclear scientist with high-level military and political connections. These institutional links have led investigators to believe the scam operated with state-level sanctioning to funnel Western capital back into Russia. When one of the network's internal fixers tried to blow the whistle to a Swedish lawyer, the retaliation was severe. Shortly after returning to Russia, someone blew up his car in a violent attempt to permanently silence him. In April 2024, law enforcement agencies across 11 countries raided 38 locations and dismantled the network. Sergey On was arrested in the Dominican Republic and extradited to Spain. The investors, however, remain without their money. Juicy Fields weaponized a trendy industry and leveraged the credibility of internet influencers to build trust at scale. They manufactured an entire corporate reality specifically to fund organized crime.